Hello everyone. If you will stay into the very end of this session, you will get to know about the procurement best practices and on daily basis what challenges and problem we face in procurement domain, and you will be having the insights from multiple MNCs company leaders in this session. So stay tuned.
Hi, hello everyone, and welcome into Procurious knowledge sharing session. This side Montu Verma, and I am a procurement expert. Ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing our journey towards talking to procurement professionals. Today, we might have all of you as speakers or as listeners as well, right? I hope this would be a remarkable session and would be a very interesting for all of you because this is truly knowledge sharing session. Friends, I am very happy to inform you that presently we have more than 600 family members in Procurious Group, and being family member of Procurers Group, this is very important to know about each other as soon as possible. Actually, we chat with each other on WhatsApp for the purpose of some kind of job opportunity or some kind of vendor reference, and also for sharing our perspective on procurement terminology over there. Yeah. Friends, now I am very excited to brief you about the flow of this session, and I hope you all will definitely enjoy this, and all will gain lot of knowledge about the procurement as a profession. First of all, I will start with sharing of our key achievement and key initiative by Procurious Word as a group. Then I will also share my knowledge and experience with all of you guys. After that, you all are most welcome to share your knowledge, your experience, and any real life story or achievement or any problem statement, or probably you can share your feedback about Procurious Group to me. Yeah. And anybody can also share his or her case study of failure and achievement in professional career, and can also ask any question or any expectation from Procurious Group. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am curious and very happy to share our major key achievement as on date. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, we have 600 numbers of group members in our family with average experience of more or less 10 years, right? From multiple industries like telecom, consumer electronic, FMCG, pharmaceutical, IT, FNV, education, chemical, raw material, automobile, and many more industries. And company like Reliance, Tata, Accenture, Amazon, Flipkart, British Telecom, Samsung, Nokia, American Tower, Honda, WHO, and NIIT also. Number two, we have referred more than 75 numbers of jobs. Out of them, 5 members already got job during this tough time. And I would not like to announce their name. Number third, we have facilitated 8 number of knowledge sharing webinars as of now, and those were about vendor relationship, IT negotiation, how to control raw material price, SAP MM, and SAP Ariba as well. And last but not least, on and average, we all are sharing 5 numbers of business requirement or got multiple vendors reference on day-to-day basis from Procurious Group. So friends, this is how we as a Procurious Group helping each other and turned this pandemic situation or disaster into the opportunity. Yeah. And now I am very excited to share our key initiative with all of you, which is to conduct mock interview session for jobless members or for those who is really willing to know the improvement areas, so he or she can prepare for next job interview and get selected for job, right? We are planning to invite a HR expert who can share his or her perspective to know about improvement areas like what are the gaps in your resume, how to search the job over Naukri.com or other job portals website and find out the job in your in current pandemic situation. And technically we will also inviting some procurement leaders as interviewer, so we will nominate one number of member from our group and arrange mock session interview for 30 minutes at least in a week, and we will share the feedback privately with interviewee. Yeah, we will share all the detail regarding mock interview session with you as soon as possible. Okay, so now I would like to share my knowledge, and whatever I will share I have learned or gained from my gurus or from my mentors. So friends, आप भी invited हो. After me you can share your knowledge, your experience as a procurement professional career. Now I would like to share my experience on what are the challenges we generally face in procurement as a domain. What are the best practices? We will touch upon this also. So ladies and gentlemen, what does procurement best practices mean? It means we have some tools or techniques which have been tried and tested on something and somewhere, and which works as we required is called procurement best practices. To my understanding, for example, I am in a consumer electronic sector and I found myself or my company that my KPI or our KPI is not doing well. And I looked out some other companies within my own sector or same sector, yeah, who are doing better than us or doing great. So obviously I need to learn from them or I need to benchmark with them and figure out the improvements area. Yep. Hence any tool, any technique which is suitable for my company or my sector or my domain, if any tool which is making our professional life more creative, more smoother, more transparent, then it will become the best practices for us. Now I would like to touch upon some generic pointers of best practices which should be covered into our company procurement policy or into procurement SOP, standard operating procedure, correct? This is very important to have approved agreed SOP of procurement department, which is covered following pointers like number one, approval authorities. So friends, approval authorities एक पार्ट होना चाहिए आपके procurement policy का, SOP का. Then number second, who will approve the budgets or on what basis, who will approve the specs, technical specification from business team probably, and who will approve the RFX like RFI, RFP, RFQ and auction, and who will drive the RFX. So all these pointers will cover or supposed to be covered into your procurement company policy or in SOP. And number three, delegation of authorities policy, like in the absence of procurement approval authorities, who will approve the RFX or the specs for floating the are effects into the market, right? Number fourth, procurement project delivery timelines. So एसओपी में ये भी कवर होना चाहिए कि विद इन टाइम लिमिट क्या टाइम लिमिट्स होंगी जिसके दौरान a procurement manager or expert supposed to be deliver the project outcome or a best outcome or best vendor for requirement, right? Number 5, vendor KPIs. So vendor KPIs also the most vital part of SOP procurement in the company. And number 6 is P card. P card is known as purchasing card, is a form of company charge card that allows goods and services to purchase without using a traditional purchasing process, right? It should be captured in policy like what will be the limit for per transaction and amount per month. So the purpose of issuing the P card is to save the procurement process, cost and time management, right? Number 7th is cost saving and cost avoidance formula. So it is again very much important to understand how we will calculate the cost saving and how we will calculate the cost avoidance, and how it will be captured into our company financial. So we will discuss in detail about cost saving and cost avoidance later or sooner in again or next webinar. So number 8th point is when the procurement monthly dashboard will be presented or published to the board of director of company. So this is very much important. Whatever you have done in the entire month or whatever you have done in the entire saving or entire month saving, what you have achieved, you supposed to be present to your company promoters, and you supposed to be know what you have achieved during a month. Number 9th, who will provide the data for spend analysis. So again, this is very much important part of our SOP. It should be covered in SOP that who will provide the data for spend analysis so that procurement strategic officer or manager can have the fair idea of what they are going to spend or what they have spent during the last month or last year, right? Number 10th point is who will find the area of improvement. So this is again to assign someone in the SOP that who will provide the insight for further improvement in procurement as a domain. So guys, all these points are the part of or supposed to be the part of procurement best practices. Now I want to share one real life case study with you, and then I will sum up. 1 month ago, when I was interacting with a procurement professional in an open forum, or probably हम अपने procurement procurious group में ही बात कर रहे थे. Like I asked a question to all of our members that what are the problem or challenges we face as a procurement expert or in the procurement profession. So friends, कई लोगों ने जवाब दिया. Most of them replied like that. We feel stress with many projects every day or too much operational task and do not have opportunity and bandwidth to concrete on strategic development direction. कई लोगों ने बोला like that we have to attend long messages or long meeting or long phone calls, or we get very less time to provide the right source or vendor, and someone said that procurement department always ignored in the organization. Once got success or business department wants to do their own. So, friends, I would like to ask you a simple question: that is there any other challenges or problem you are facing as a procurement expert or in your procurement domain? Would you like to tell me what exactly challenges you are facing in procurement as a professional?
Yeah, good afternoon. Myself, Vikram Sharma. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible? Yeah. Vikram Sharma. I work in telecom company called Jio.
Would you
Actually, I
like
was
to
working on
tell me your name, please, or probably
Vikram
your some
Sharma.
background?
Vikram Sharma.
Actually, your voice is very low.
Okay. Biplab Sharma. Now audible?
Yes, please.
Ah. Presently, I'm working in telecom company called Jio, Astral, which is a different sector than the earlier organization where I was working in Tata Steel. In that company, which is 100 years more long organization, where processes are very streamlined and all things are set. Yes, there are specific challenges procurement as a procurement specialist you have to have, but this telecom sector I'm finding a different challenge because the dynamic situation we are in, every now and then processes or guidelines or the focus gets shifted. So I've not take it longer time that how to fix the issue that the transactional roads are getting more day by day, and it is enormous because in operation and maintenance faults are not obvious. It comes every now and then. So you have to have a strategic. What kind of strategy I could take into in my domain so that these challenges can be mitigated and I can balance my personal and professional. So that's the query from my side.
Sure. So I will come very soon to answer your query. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question, guys? Okay. So, and guys, I am very happy to share that after some time I asked another question like this: what are the challenges or problem we as a procurement have in our domain? Then one person replied me that if we will enjoy the procurement as a profession, then for sure we will love procurement and we will not face any problem or challenges. So guys, a very generic answer and very good approach towards answer the question. And I was very happy that one of them answered me very nicely that if you enjoy the procurement as a domain, you will not feel the stress, and many others appreciated his revert also. Then my next question was to him that is there any tool or method or technique to enjoy procurement as a profession or a passion? I did not get answer from his side. Correct. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that I also went through such experience in my professional, like workload in procurement department. So there are many transaction in a single day supposed to be achieved.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Your video is not coming and there is some disturbance. I don't know from which mic.
Okay, okay. Sorry. Let me mute all of you. Thank you. So, guys, let me tell you that I also went through such experience in my professional career, and I am very thankful to my seniors for their guidance. They helped me a lot to learn how to tackle with such kind of challenges. And if anybody asks me that Do we have any tool, method, or technique to control these type of problem or challenges without having any strength, right? So my answer will be yes. Yes, we have some tool or techniques to handle such situation, or to handle some kind of uh, challenges in procurement as a domain. So guys, first of all, we need to understand what are the root causes for these statement. Correct. Number one, the lack of awareness about the role of procurement into the entire company. लोगों को पता ही नहीं होता दोस्तों कि एक परचेज या फिर प्रोक्यूरमेंट मैनेजर का कंपनी में या प्रोक्यूरमेंट डिपार्टमेंट का रोल ही क्या है. सो जनरली लोग यही सोचते हैं कि परचेज वाला सब कुछ करके देगा हमें, हमारा काम भी परचेज वाले के हम ऊपर डाल देते हैं कि यू प्लीज प्रोवाइड द वेंडर, प्लीज यू ऑल्सो स्पेसिफाई द स्पेक्स, और we need this job or this project by today itself. So lot of problem or challenging statement over there. So नंबर फर्स्ट, एज आई मेंशन अर्लियर, कि लोगों को पता ही नहीं होता कि प्रोक्योरमेंट डिपार्टमेंट का रोल क्या है हमारी कंपनी में. करेक्ट. नंबर सेकंड इज हैविंग नो प्रोक्योरमेंट पॉलिसी इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. और पॉलिसी होती भी है तो लोगों को अवेयरनेस नहीं होती कि प्रोक्योरमेंट की पॉलिसी क्या है. एंड नंबर थर्ड इज लेस टेक्निकल नॉलेज अबाउट कैटेगरी व्हाट यू आर मैनेजिंग एज अ प्रोक्योरमेंट मैनेजर. सो गाइज, don't take me wrong, sometime we do not have the depth knowledge about the category what we are managing in our company. We know the procurement processes, we know the basic understanding about the procurement as a process. What it is very much important to understand the category what you are managing. Technical aspects are very important. On that basis you can always negotiate better to your vendors, to your stakeholders and all. So guys, 3 mantras I want to share with all of you. Number one, we as a procurement professional or expert should be interactive with our stakeholders or our external and internal parties, and we should build your or our professional relationship with others. Probably you can plan your day into 2 parts, like number one for internal parties like stakeholders management in early in the morning for half an hour, and then prioritize the pending jobs or pending task with them to avoid escalation, and another half an hour for your supervisor or for your boss to report them what are the pending tasks and how you are going to manage them, right? Secondly, rest time you can spend or you can devote or you can invest for external parties like your vendors or suppliers for follow up on phone calls and floating the RFX, RFI, RFQs and auction. And then at the end of the day, update your job dashboard to report your boss or your reporting manager. Number second, be curious about learn new things or new category. Again, we should spend some time with our business team and understand the operational technicalities. Unless until we will not understand the technical things for which category you are managed, then you cannot manage your stakeholders, and you can also not able to manage your vendors. So my highly recommendation to all of you guys, please manage or build a good relationship with your stakeholders in the company. Basis on that, you can learn new things, learn new categories, and enhance your career. Number 3, last but not least, listen others to understand the problem statement in order to provide the best solution. Unless until you will not listen any person who is currently having some kind of problem or stuck into some kind of urgent project, you will not be able to provide any solution to him or to her. So guys, these is all or from my side probably as of now. Thank you so much for listening to me. Friends, now I would like or I would love to listen from you your real life experience in procurement as a domain, and any feedback you can also share with me about Procurious Group. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Montu. This is Sunit Sinha. My voice is coming.
Yes.
I muted. I have closed my video because internet is not very much stable in my home right now. Just wanted to thanks to you for your entire conversation, and I really glad that I have joined this group almost in the since beginning of this group and attended almost every session, whatever has shared at here. I sincerely appreciate. And if you could allow me, then I will share one of my thought process regarding what I have experienced in the last 23 years. There's a lot of multiple experience are there, but I can only share which I have learned through that. Just wanted to tell to everyone, I have 23 years of experience, and in 23 years of experience, I have traveled from manufacturing to automobile, then IT, then paper industry, and then finally landed in a telecom industry. And during this entire my journey, there is one common practice which is used under the best practice of organization, and that is called the zero-based costing. Is basically used primarily especially in automobile sector and in manufacturing sector, where the agreement or procurement is happening in a long-term basis, for not because of the short-term basis, and where these industries basically start thinking of costing when they start thinking of innovations. Innovations like any technology comes in or any technology changes in or something they want to be put in as a value-added services. So this zero-based costing generally come while selection of any items or selection of any services. This zero-based costing is primarily used to identify the exact cost what we are going to buy from the vendors. And it is a very complex situation when you do a costing. And when you do a costing, whether you have only two sources of procurement and where you have a very large arrangement in terms of value, in terms of volume for about 3 years or 4 years, and your contract agreement is about 3 years, 4 years or 5 years. So you have to be very vigilant in terms of knowing your costing. If you missed out about 1 paisa, 2 paisa, so it multiplies in a many fold and it goes into the millions or in a crores of rupees. So I just want to share one practice which we used to adopt during our cost negotiation. So what we do that, we ask from the vendor to provide an entire costing of the component. Like if he has given a 1 rupee of quotation, so what consists of 1 rupees? It should not be the only material, it should not be the only material fabrication and just give the profit overhead. We ask each and everything. That means your design concept of the component, your material cost, your wastage in this. He might be having a manpower in this. Then there is a machinery cost, plant and office overhead which he has included while doing this costing, and then the overall profit. It is quite tough to get this kind of information from any vendor because it is not so easy. So we do some kind of a research in a system, and we do some kind of a benchmarking practices we have adopted, and we done a lot of exercise during that period, that we came to know that suppose one component cost internally means that procurement people have done internally costing of 10 rupees, and if the vendor is quoting a cost 11 rupees 50 paisa, so we basically ask the vendor, you give me the cost breakup and you give me the justification how your cost is higher than what we basically procuring right now, what we have achieved 10 rupees of that. So there is a gap of 1 rupees 50 paisa. So the vendor has to tell us that how this 1 rupee 50 paisa has having a gap delta. It may possible that while making a cost calculation, so being a purchaser or being a procurement person, you always be vigilant in terms of the costing. So you reduce the costing what you wanted to be have. So it may create a delta of 1.50 rupees. During my entire procurement of one component, which basically predominantly having a long-term contract, about 5 years contract, we have to be in touch with the supplier. It is a mandatory because the cost amortization of the machinery and the mold which he is going to supply to us, it has a longer period. And during this, basically during this entire procurement discussion, you must align with your research team that anyway this 5 years, if any model will change, then this particular part or this particular assembly will not get changed, or if it get changed, so it will not have a very large impact in terms of making any change in the product. So I found that this practice has basically evolved lot of cost saving, and generally this practice is used in many ways. Right now the people or the procurement organization, which is I believe a lot of people are here from the service industry, they must be using reverse auctioning. But reverse auctioning, especially in a component buying, is not exist, and they prefer to go go as per the zero based costing. And we have identified by doing this and by achieving some of, even if you save 1 paisa in this entire procurement process, it will multiply crores and crores of rupees saving in an organization. Right now I am in Reliance, and we do a lot of this kind of exercise to identify what is the cost, what is the labor cost. Generally vendor has a lot of excuses on ground. Basically if you see, each and every vendor try to sell their product by inducing their overheads, and their overheads are their wastages, and they inducing their wastages and some kind of a value added services in the product, and then they give us a quotation CU. So it is a very important that while doing this kind of exercise in terms of the costing, it is always be good to have a very vigilant in terms of the pricing. This is from my side. I believe we have a very less time, so I restrict myself for the only 10 minutes. Montu, over to you.
Very true, Sinha Saab, and you have mentioned rightly that it is very much important to understand the specification and understand the quotation what vendor has quoted to us, and once you will have a deep dive into your quotation, into your specification and price quoted by your supplier or vendor, you can achieve what is required or what is need for your company. Thank you for your this knowledge, and I would also invite other person to share his or her knowledge in this open session. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Montu.
I want to, and thanks Sunit for this wonderful insights. So, my name is Shailesh Sonar. I work for so I carry 17 years of experience in the procurement domain, and I currently work for a non-banking financial corporation based out of Mumbai, right? So I would also wanted to share my insights the moment I saw Montu's invite on the group and the agenda which is going to be wanted to cover. I was thinking about which case study to share with the team, right? Which will be insightful. Right? In the 17 years of experience, I came across so many instances that it was very difficult to recollect which one will be valuable to all the team members who would join the session. Right? So today I'm not here to teach the group how to negotiate. I'm just here to share my views about how do the management in different companies view the procurement function. Right? So primarily there are two types of procurement buckets in all the companies, right? I think someone asked about this on WhatsApp today, right? One is direct and another is indirect, right? So I'm glad to see that there are so many knowledgeable people on the group. The simple way of understanding the direct and indirect bucket is if your company makes a product and anything you buy as a sub item which gets fixed into that end product, right, or completes that product is a direct purchase item, right? A simple example would be in a pharma industry, whatever APIs you buy to manufacture a final medicine is a direct product, direct purchase product, right? Or for companies like HP or Dell, right, where for a company like HP and Dell, their procurement team, if they are purchasing, say, Intel's CPU or a Samsung's hard disk, right, or Hitachi's or Hynix RAM, which contributes to making a finished good like a laptop and desktop, then those items in that company are a direct procurement item, right? And whatever doesn't get finally fitted into that end product is an indirect procurement. So now what the procurement best practices, there is no right or a wrong rule or tactics in doing negotiations, right? This is my firm belief. You would all get all sorts of discounts, right? You may meet the desired targets given by your procurement head or given by your projects team or sales team, right? As a buyer, you would also feel satisfied when you achieve those targets set by your own people, right? For you to close that deal. Right? However, one most important point, right, which we, all of us in different organizations, right, irrespective of that vertical, carry, right, but we barely focus in that procurement function, is whether we get a right image stamp, right? I'll repeat myself, whether we get a right image stamp. So this aspect was a very crucial aspect which I learned in my career, right? But I don't know whether you all have heard about this, and don't be shocked when you hear that. So let me ask people, what do you consider as an image stamp? Any answers? People can type in their messages or they can speak up. What do you consider as an image stamp as a procurement guy? Any answers from anyone?
Shailesh, can you repeat your question? Actually, there is a problem in internet, so voice is not very much clear.
Okay, so from a procurement domain, right? The question was, what do you consider as an image stamp?
Right. So we are getting your question, and I have a question.
It is a very simple answer. Yeah, Jamontu.
Yes. We as a procurement expert or as a domain, we think that we should be considered on the top of management, or like we should be considered as a some kind of लोग recognize करें, people recognize us, management recognize us. It is the lack of in our company basically. People are not
Right.
considering as a front end department actually.
Right. Great. Right. That answers a part of it. Yes. Any other answers? Okay. Doesn't matter. Right. Let me give you my views, right, on what I consider as image stamp, and this was one of the important aspect which I focused in my mid career in my procurement portfolio. But then that focus on that aspect has helped me, right, to strategize all my negotiations, right. So let me give you my views, right. In one of my ex organization, my ex boss, when I joined that organization, right, he said to me that, Shailesh, you are on a hot seat. Whenever you get a deal to negotiate, just think as if you are carrying a signed blank check in which you have to fill the figures and numbers, right? And company has hired you to at a very responsible position. So do your due diligence. Make sure that whatever figure you write on that check is a right figure. It should be clearly auditable, right? And it has to be the most aggressive figure. So when you get such a statement, right? I mean, will you not check all the things in the world before you go on that negotiation table? Isn't it? Right. So these dialogues got printed in all the people's mind, right, who were there in that procurement domain. But what we learned from my earlier negotiation practice, right, I was not able to create that impact, right? So before I went on that negotiation table, I tried to use all the best practices which my bosses in my earlier organizations used to follow, my peers used to follow in the existing organization as well as the old organization, right? Just like how all we do, right? We try to see and copy our boss, we try to see and copy our peers, or we have some or X organizations negotiations idea, we try to use it. But one thing which used to always strike my mind is whether I carry a right image stamp in front of my boss, in front of my team, in front of the supplier, in front of my peers, right? Now, since boss and your team are a part of your own organization as an employee, they might give you a candid feedback whether you are good or whether you are bad or where you need to improve on your procurement style and your negotiation style. But a sales guy from a supplier organization will always try to muscofy you, right? He'll always try to say whether that you are always a tough negotiator, you got a best price, or you are the best person, right? He'll try to muscofy you all, right? But maybe at the back, right? Have you ever thought, right? Are there right messages going out of your company in the market about you and your organization? Since you are the front-ending person, right? Are there correct image stamps which are going in the market about you and your organization from that supplier? And you meet hundreds of such suppliers in a month, right? So specifically on a supplier image stamp, right? Let me give you a small insight which helped me in my career, and maybe you could also try and practice in your own domain of procurement. Okay. So in every meeting we do with all the suppliers, right? What I followed and what I suggest all the other team members also to try and see if they can follow is get some additional insights about that sales guy, about that company, about the management structure, or about the targets which the sales guys have missed or the company has missed, right? What are their pain areas they are facing to meet their targets, right? Maybe you can ask also about the customers' orders which are stuck, right? The customer is not picking up delivery and they are stuck with the inventory, right? How can you help them to set up a good supply chain? Any 3PL which they are using, or are they using their own stocking mechanism, whether they are using air transport or sea transport or a roadways transport or even a courier or a parcel delivery service, right? So just like we keep on hopping jobs, these sales people of different vendor company also keep on changing jobs, right? And maybe after a few years, you see that a sales guy is reached at a very senior position in some company, right? Believe me, guys, sales guys get a faster growth as compared to a procurement guy, right? What is important over here is the connect which you make with all those sales guys, all the good work which you do for the company by virtue of you being a decision maker in that company. Try to learn and appreciate the efforts which supplier has done and the good works which these sales people do. And by all this information which you gather from all this supplier, try to tactfully reuse that information for your company's benefit and do a some strategic decision and discussion with your vendor, right? Now, in one of my ex organization, and this is a real life example. In one of my ex organization, which was into a manufacturing segment, my major profile was into project procurement, right? Which happened to be an indirect sourcing bucket for that company. But I could manage to get one direct spend bucket, which was one commodity which contributed to a final finished good of that company, right? That bucket was of cable harness. Now, cable harness is a bunch of cables, right, with all lugs and ferrules fitted. Everyone in the almost in all the organization, you sometime or some or other time you buy cables, right? Now, this cable harness was a tail spend item, right? By tail spend, what I mean is for whatever 100% value of procurement in the direct spend bucket, this was not even 10%, right? But since it was one of my portfolio, my major portfolio was indirect procurement. This was one of my portfolio. I tried to use the same logic on how do I make use of information which my suppliers gives me about their company, their product manufacturing practices, their raw material supply chain, right? And that supplier and I could manage to derive a detailed formula on the LME costs, the conversion costs, the LME costs. By LME I mean London Metal Exchange costs for the core element, which is copper or aluminium, for manufacturing a cable, right? Even the LME costs for PVCs, right? Or the LME tin costs, which is used for tinning the copper, right? All these components contributed to a per meter cost derivation formula, right? And that formula could be extrapolated for different sizes of cables or different square of cables. So a traditional method of negotiating a direct lump sum cost, right, which the other peer used to follow for a cable item, right, now got changed to a formula-based cost derivation, right, basis which I could convince other cable suppliers also to follow that formula. Now suddenly the spend started shifting to a supplier who agreed to that formula. Other people realized that okay, the spend bucket has reduced for the cable, so they came to me as a purchaser, and they started telling me that what can they do for increasing the business. So I proposed them this formula, and they could somehow manage to agree on that formula. Right? Now this not only fixed the price deriving mechanism, but also saved the company's time in the cable negotiations. And I'm happy to say that this formula is still used in that organization. Right? The reason why I give you this example is the image stamp which I obviously gained from my company in that organization, right? Is still carried. People in that organization still remember me. Even I have this is almost 9 years. Still remember me as a person who had done now after 10 years. They still remember me. Now they have hopped the jobs in different organizations, but they still carry and they remember me as a person who had used a different tactics of fixing a formula. So this got engraved in their mindset, and I'll suggest try to use all the information which you get from all your suppliers, right? Try to make use of that information on whatever whatever spend bucket you handle, and make use of that idea in your negotiation tactics. So this was one example which I wanted to cite. That's it. Thanks, Montu. Over to you.
Thank you, Shailesh. So, is there anyone to ask any question or want to share his or her knowledge? So, there is a question from Sushil Raut. Anyone can share some knowledge about spend analysis, how to work it in procurement department. So good question, Sushil. So I want to share my perspective or my knowledge over how to do spend analysis in procurement as a domain. So first of all, as I mentioned earlier, this is the part of our company procurement SOP, like who would be or will be responsible for providing the data for spend analysis. So probably from finance department side, we need or we should seek some data to do the proper spend analysis. So what covers under spend analysis, I would share this with you. So number one, we should have raw data from our finance side, what transaction or what we have spent during the last 3 months or half year or in a annual or per annum basis. So you have to understand their data and what the column or what the information should be there in that raw data. Number one, data should cover the specification of the item. Number one, item, then specification, then from whom or the name of vendor you have purchased or you have procured with the name of vendor, and then the amount. What amount you have paid or you supposed to pay your vendor. So, let's say let's take example, आपको spend analysis करनी है last 1 year की, and you have multiple line items or you have multiple items and with different specs. Like if we talk about indirect procurement, there are multiple items like or multiple business department like marketing, IT, admin, HR, logistic. So if we talk about marketing, POS, which is the part of below the line category. Suppose let's take an example. आपको एक बुक प्रिंट करानी है एंड आपने वो कराई प्रिंट, बट द बुक हैज मल्टीपल स्पेक्स, लाइक A4 शीट की है, A5 शीट की भी है और ए उसके एवब भी है. सो वी शुड have deep dive into the specification of that book or that catalog, or we should try to merge, or we should try to have only one specification for one item. Why we should have single specification? Because the more item you buy, the more discount or the best price you can seek from your supplier or from your vendor. If you have multiple item and you have multiple specs, then the quantity will be less for those items, and you cannot negotiate, or you cannot have your targeted price from your vendor's side. So first of all, we should analyze the specification. After that, we should analyze the top 3 big ticket items or big ticket line items, like if we talk about admins category, what are the conveyance charges or what are the housekeeping charges. So we should analyze the company's top 3 expenses, and who are the top 3 vendors providing or supplying the item to us. So after analyzing these 3 or 4 points, like vendor, big ticket items or big ticket expenses and specification, you can achieve, or you can understand what to achieve for next within 3 or your targeted timelines. So after having deep dive into the data of past 3 or 1 month, you can statize your goal, or you can probably statize your procurement as a target. Hope it is very much clear. Sushil, is there any question?
Do I am allowed to add something in this?
Yes, sure.
Once again, my name is Suneet. If you know, each and every organization is having a one department which is named as the procurement excellence. Okay, the majority of the big organization do a periodic, half yearly and yearly basis complete cleansing activity. Now this cleansing activity, which requires to be part of their knowing what are their non-value added steps in the procurement, and as far as they wanted to know that what spend organization has done in which particular category. So I'm just adding what the Mantu is saying. Mantu is saying absolutely right. Whatever he shared, that is absolutely right. The job of this department is to basically identify in each and every categories, and as well as in each and every under the category, what are the big ticket items procured in last 1 year, 2 years or 3 years. So they basically, what they do it, they just gather the data. On the basis of gathering the data, they identify the year on a year what volume has increased. If the volume has increased, does the cost has reduced, or the does cost has increased. Now if the cost has increased, then there is a concern matter. So they basically ask from the buyers why the cost has increased. Now if the cost has increased, there may be some market shift or some international shift in any XYZ costing. So the cost, basically spend analysis, if you go through a lot of website will tell you, it is a majority of the organizations are using to do a complete analysis of what we are buying, as well as gathering the information, grouping the category. If something is having a two or three, I will say one thing, 2 or 3 identical services or identical material are there, then their job is to be merged in one category, so that their buying structure will yield more and more discount on this. This is from my side, dear.
Anybody else?
I'll also add on. I'll also add on top of what Sunit and want to say. Right. So the question was insights about the spend analytics. Right now, spend analytics is basically about analyzing the historical spend which you have done. Right. Historical maybe a year back spend, or historical maybe 2 years back or 3 years back spend, to derive some trend. Right. So you see exactly what you purchased from which suppliers. First of all, who are your top 10, right? Who are your top 5 suppliers? Who are your top 5 OEMs? Who are your, what is your top spend bucket? What is your top 10 spend buckets, right? It will help you also quantify and prioritize your saving opportunities for your future. So your next future plans or your KPIs of your department as a buyer, as a procurement function, will get decided basis this spend analytics, right? As Sunit said, every organization has some or other department who does that spend analytics. But in a smaller organization, sometimes the spend analytics as a function doesn't exist, right? So, from a procurement member perspective, it is your responsibility to do at least your spend analysis and present it to your boss, right? Or you have to reach out to your procurement head and at least speak to him and tell him that can you take over that activity as a spend analytics. This will not only give you insights about whatever spend you are doing, but also give you insights about what spend the rest of the procurement team is doing, right? So it also simplifies the procurement process. It also helps you to track the compliance and also find out if there are frauds which are happening in the organization, right? For example, you would have committed some category of spend to a supplier, right? And in that year span, because of all the transactional load, you would know, sometimes you might have given some set of purchase orders, or your other team members would have given some set of purchase order to other supplier. So in that sense, it is a non-compliance. You had committed to one of the suppliers that you will give 100% of the spend, but you ultimately notice that more than maybe 15%, 20% spend has gone to someone else. So this spend analytics also helps you to track compliance, right? And it helps you to improve the pattern of spending for the future years. It also helps you to derive the price variance with respect to what was the current price versus what was the previous quarter's price versus what was the price the subsequent same quarter the previous year, right? In case there are some maverick spendings happening in your organization, that also that also gets noticed, and you can take actions on top of that, right? So spend analytics, there are a lot of softwares which are readily available in the market, which you can propose it to your bosses to look at. If your company doesn't have that capacity to spend that amount for that software for spend analytics, you should at least maintain a tracker of your own, right? On how are you spending, for what item you're spending, what commitments you have made to which supplier, right? And track those a year along, and then look at the end of the year, how have you performed. Do your own spend analytics in whatever form and ways, and then present it to your boss. Maybe he'll get convinced that this idea needs to get replicated across all the buckets. So spend analytics, the aspect is very, very important in the procurement function. Thanks.
Thank you, Sunitji. Thank you, Saleshji, for your insight. And somebody was also asking some question. Guys, can you please we open and speak and ask any question rather than writing into chat box?
I'm on to Jay this side. I want to share some of my experience, and also I have seen some question in our inbox, so I can correlate that answer with my experience as well.
Welcome, Jay.
Am I? Yeah. So hi everyone. I am Jay. So I have about experience of 10 plus years in a procurement function in different functions of procurement, commodity, product management, and even in a different commodities I have handled metals, plastics, woods, glass, etc. So I will not take a so much long time. I just I will share my one of experience that in prior to me, Sunitji and Shaileji has also highlighted that topic, that how ZBC is very important within our procurement function. So I just want to add over to the Sunitji and Shailesh that ZBC is not the thing that we can do only on the our design product. That can also be done in a supplier standard and patent product also. So the experience which I have want to share with you all is that I have experienced that I was taking care for one product which was the patent and the standard product of the supplier. So whenever we go for the costing with them, the supplier always say that this is the my patent product and this is the standard product. We cannot share the costing. We do not have the cost breakups and anything. Okay, so post that we did that ZBC for that product, and we go to the minute details. Even we have done the ZBC for the screws and fasteners also, which we say there's a very minimal cost of the product. And in my experience, which I personally experienced, that after done the cost ZBC for that product, we have got a 10% saving on that product, and we proved to the supplier that how the cost is changed from what he is charging to us. So by that we have saved approximately $2 million for the company. And in chat box I have just saw one question somebody asked, that how we can ensure that supplier is giving the right cost to us. So my answer would be that ZBC is a perfect tool that you can find out the cost which supplier is charging to us is right or wrong. Yeah, Montu, that's all from my side. If anyone have any questions, so I would
Hello,
give the answer. Yeah,
Dekant, what is that link you said? Amrita here.
yeah.
To understand whether what is that?
Yeah. ZBC is zero-based costing, in
Okay.
which, like Sunitji explained in the earlier of this session, how we can find out the ZBC of any product. Like even in a screw, you can find out whether the cost of that screw is 1 rupee or 2 rupees or 3 rupees with respect to the different operations on that forging, for the supplier is doing forging, on which machine he's doing, what is the MHR of that machine, and what is the raw material rate and process cost. By that you can find out the cost for that screw even. So ZBC is your perfect tool to find out the cost of any product.
So I have to. It is a link, is it? I mean, it will be in the Google. If I put ZBC, I'll get that, and there I can, whatever information I need, of the product, I can put that details there.
See, it's not a link anywhere. Okay, see, if, for example, okay, there are different products like different commodities. Plastic is there, metal is there. So every different commodities have their different ZBC based on the operations which you are doing on a particular product.
Okay.
So yeah, for example, you are doing, I'll take example of injection molding. Okay, you are making one product on a, like I'll take an example on 500 ton machine injection molding machine. Okay, so what is the per hour rate for that machine? How you will calculate? So there is a particular formula correlating with the sheet which correlates everything, like what is your raw material rate, what is your scrap rate, what is your rejection level, how much is your different operations on that product. For example, you are doing hot foiling on that product, or you are doing any printing on that product, or also you are adding any BOPs on that product. So all this cost, and after that, how you are calculating the machine tonnage rate, like MHR. That MHR includes your everything, like your machine rate, your man rate, land rate of that factory, overheads of that factory, power, electricity, everything will be there in that. So there's a particular formulas and particular sheets for the different commodities.
Okay. Because I usually take care of bought out items like camera, server, IT item. So recently I had to purchase custom. There was a requirement from customer where he was asking one particular make of camera. So I took 2-3 quotes, and I negotiated with L1 vendor hard, and he said he cannot give further discount, and that is the final price. So how do I know that whatever vendor has quoted is right? Because each make has different, right? I cannot compare it with different make also.
Yeah.
So
please complete your question.
yeah. So how do I analyze that whatever vendor has given is the best quote? Because he says that's the final, With that, he cannot, if he wants to close the deal with this price, he can close the deal. So that is what he says. So for
Okay.
that, so how do I analyze that whatever is given is the right quote? This is
So,
for camera.
okay. Okay. See, for that, I would suggest like camera you are taking. I think that is not your regular production item. That is you are taking as a like indirect procurement item, like once or it's a your regular item.
No, it is project based. So
Yeah.
it's a project based requirement. So such things we get like every 3 months. So always we get new requirements. So we also do not have much knowledge on that. So whatever, like sometime we have purchased fencing material. So
Yeah.
fencing, we never, that is not our core business. So once we had purchased it and whatever they have given, so we negotiated hard with one vendor and he says that's the final price. So for such items, for such purchases, how do we analyze the cost?
See, in this
जय
case,
इसके अंदर मैं कुछ ऐड कर सकता हूँ सॉरी मैं बीच में तुम्हें रोक रहा हूँ
Can I interrupt for this with all your permission? Okay, my name is Sunil. I work for a dairy company and I have a 20 plus years of experience. Just to clarify this, this negotiation can happen for all materials, but it depends on for what it is. For example, if you're a manufacturer, okay, you have some prehistory and some market reference. Like for cameras and all, again, you can go for market reference, go to which make you want, search for that, and you'll get 2-3 quotes from suppliers. From that, check which is highest, which is lowest, and from the lowest, we need to start negotiating.
Yeah, that is
And
what
it
we
depends,
follow.
yeah, and depends, and that too, it depends upon what is your requirement, how much requirement, when is your requirement.
Hmm.
So based on those things, you have a higher hand to negotiate with them. If you have
Yeah, so
more
it was,
requirements, so you can negotiate from the lowest quote supplier. Even you can negotiate with the highest one to bring them to lowest, less than the lowest.
yeah,
yeah.
so that is what
And
follow.
and,
Based on
and,
that,
and one more point. And one more
yeah.
point. See, this zero-based comparison will not work for all industry.
Yeah.
In most industry, I may be wrong, but in my experience, in dairy industry, I cannot work for zero-based industry for all products. But based on the market, there is prices in the market available. There are references, benchmarks. So based on that, we have to take our call.
Yes, Sunil, I fully agree with you, and whatever you are saying is absolutely right. You know, the zero-based costing is only prevail where you have your own customized design, just like construction
Yes,
industry,
yes.
okay? Just
Yeah,
like
correct.
service industry, where so your own software, you have designed something for your own. And what I have given the example where automobile generally, if you see for any example, any big manufacturer, if you take the example, they have their own design. Even they have their
Yeah.
own component design, they have their own nut bolts design, but they basically what they do, they can't manufacture each and every item, so they have their vendor base, you know. So what they do it, they design something and they give it this design to someone else on behalf of them, they will manufacture. So like
Yeah.
your camera is bought out item in the market. Now it
Yes,
is
yes, I agree.
predominantly item for the camera like Sony or Samsung they are selling to you. Okay, so this category is basically called bought out items. So in the bought out items, whatever the Sunil is saying, absolutely right, that you go and negotiate with either by the direct source of the manufacturer like Sony and Samsung if you have a large volume, or if you have a small volume, then the distributor and dealers will come into the picture. You can do a reverse auctioning also, but reverse auctioning for this kind of items doesn't give you very much positive result. But yes, cost negotiation or effective negotiation will give you a lot of good bench price in this particular items.
Yeah, Sunilji and Sunilji, I agree with you that ZBC is not applicable for all products. But yes, I would also like to add something like on a camera point. We can also negotiate with respect to the addition of features also. Now, this type of product like this is a brought out products. However, different features we can negotiate. We can add features also while negotiating.
Yeah, that's what. And if you have some specific requirements, then we can go to the manufacturer and ask them. These are the additional
Yeah.
things we want. This is the thing, and
Yeah.
then we can negotiate on that. If
Yeah.
volume is high and it is a continuous requirement, it depends.
Yeah.
So Sunil and Jack, can I add something
Yeah.
to answer this
Sure.
query?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. And thanks Amrita for asking this question. So
Welcome, Montu.
first of all, we need to identify the model number of that particular camera, what is required by your business team, correct? Then
Yes.
we should have the potential partners or supplier from the market like Canon, HP, blah blah blah. Basis on that, you will float the RFQ to them, and initial price would be quoted to you, right? So you can analyze the quotes, and whatever the lowest quote you are having in your hand, match with your expectation. What is your expectation, or what discount you are seeking from that supplier? You can ask upfrontly to that supplier. Am I audible to you guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So we have Procurious as a group, wherein we have 600, more than 600 members or procurement professional. So this is another the source. You can take the advantages of this. Like you can ask to anybody in the group that this is my requirement, this is my expectation, and I need this product or camera. Can you please tell me what is the right price or what is the market price? So if somebody is already buying this commodity from market, he or she can also give you the insight. So basis on that, you can also analyze the market price, right? So this is from my side. And if you will go on e-auction, probably in my company, e-auction जो होता है वो 1 लाख से ऊपर की ट्रांजेक्शन के लिए होता है जनरली. So if you are buying 1 or 2 camera, then you do not need to go on e-auction. You can negotiate with the vendor over email or over phone call basically. So that is how you can achieve the best price. Number one, you can negotiate with your lowest quoted vendor, and number two, you can market research like with your peers or with your colleagues or in our Procurious as a group of procurement professional. Thank you.
Okay, I have one more. Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are
Go
audible.
ahead.
Yeah, I have one more question. These IT items, right? Because I usually take care of IT items like server, laptop, desktops also. So my manager expects me to keep a same price. I mean, when we place PO to new supplier, the price should not go more from the last buy price. So this is what our company follows. I mean, usually I think every company follows. Whenever you place an order, it should be either less from the previous buy or it should be same. So these IT items, it keeps changing like every time, and it is not a regular item like monthly once we buy or after 2 months we buy. So how do we tackle this? Like my manager expects me it should be same or less, but when I discuss with couple of vendors in the market, they say the price is increased. So at the end, I have to place place PO with the higher price. So any suggestion? I mean, has anybody faced this problem in your organization of IT items where price keeps fluctuating?
I think Shailesh is the right person. Shailesh.
Yeah, I'll answer that. But I would expect someone else also to top up if anyone has a similar question regarding IT items.
Sir, can I speak few minutes? I'm Sundar, Director and Indirect Purchase. So making
Sundar, how are you?
making the rate contract. Fine. Actually,
Yes,
this
Sundar.
IT related item. First of all, major consider for the points in after supply installation. Installation is very important. second for this rate contract. You make the rate contract na is possible to for this price raising avoid these issues.
Okay. The rate contract, if we have a bulk buy, if we know our requirement is fixed for this annual quantity is fixed, then I think we can make a rate contract with them, right?
No, you make the rate contract of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years na is for regular item. You procuring for this ITS is minimum 500, 200 or 3 years agreement. So vendor is signed this for approval for this supplying the price same.
Okay. I think this
Namrata
I can-
Srinath here.
So,
Yeah.
Hello, Namrata Srinath here.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. I am also into IT procurement. I also buy desktops and laptops for my company. Okay. So as you said, yes, the pricing keeps varying for every buy. So what
Yeah.
we do is we talk to the OEMs, HP or Dell, and try to fix the price. We try to give a projected numbers. Say we're going to buy 3,000 laptops this year. So we try to give a projected number. Though we don't commit that we'll buy that. We'll give a number and try to get a rate card fixed. I know we cannot have a confirmed number, but we try to fix the rate card and buy for 6 months at one shot. We try to have a projected number and try to. So that is one thing.
So
Because the
is
price
it for
keeps varying.
your internal
sorry.
requirement? Is it for their office requirement or is it for your customer?
It is for internal requirement.
Yeah, when there is an internal requirement, I think we can do that. But this is for a customer, and we are not sure. So what order is going to come in? So it's there are so it keeps changing. I mean, for 5 months, I may not get any order from customer.
Right. So the pricing basically depends on the processor cost. Because Intel keeps changing the processor frequently.
Yes.
So the
Correct.
pricing is driven by the processor cost. So processor and also the memory. So probably we'll have to keep track of that and fix a price with the probably we'll be buying through distributors, Redington or Ingram. So you can
Traders, partners.
Partners. Okay, but if you're buying through Redington or Ingram, some distributors probably can have some more price advantage and have some type of rate fixed with them. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah, so nicely answered. In fact, Srinath, Sundar, or both of you have answered it, right? But let me give you an overall perspective of the way IT community, right, the partner community works. So all the OEMs of the IT commodities, right? I'll purposely name it as commodity because for now this has become more or less a commodity. Actually, every organization needs it, and you name the OEM in any part of the country, you will find a distributor or a partner. Right now, this IT vendors OEM, right? These IT OEMs, they generally get in touch with the end customers also if they realize that there are volumes, but they will never sell you directly, right? For example, your organization Amrita, they will come to you, they'll talk to you, but they will never sell to you directly. They'll divert you through to some partner. If your volumes are sizable enough, they'll even ask you to load an order to a distributor, right? But it has to be sizable. When I say sizable, it has to be in tens of thousands of volumes. Only then you get that luxury of reaching to a distributor and getting it directly from them, or directly importing it from the OEM's factory. For example, Dell allows you to directly import, right? But HP will never allow you to directly import unless until your volumes are in tens of thousands. And you take it about whether it is laptop or whether it is a desktop or whether it is servers or a storage, right, or a networking equipment. Okay. So first and foremost thing is establish that relationship with the OEM. Try to fix a rate card for your own consumption or your in-house consumption, as well as look at your trend, derive the model numbers which you have frequently consumed, and try to standardize on some set of specifications. Now 4 projects which you would have executed in past. Try to standardize on some set of specification. Don't fix your model number, right? Ask your engineering team or ask your projects team or whoever is the technical people who frame the technical specification, right? Ask them to standardize. If you standardize maybe the RAM, the core, the hard disk, right, the power supply, the X numbers of warranty, right, which you need, this will more or less allow you to buy the structured, allow you to negotiate in a structured form with the supplier, with the OEM directly. Now, the cost of the IT items also depends on the conversion factors. Right? When I say conversion factors, I mean the duty component and also the dollar rate. Now, dollar rate keeps on fluctuating up and down. Similarly, your end price will also keep on fluctuating up and down, right? But if your volumes are sizable, if your 4 or 5 projects volumes put together are sizable enough volumes of servers or sizable enough volumes of desktops and laptops and network items, talk to OEM, standardize on the specification, right? To an extent, keep at least 4 or 5 variants of different model numbers, and try ask your engineering team or ask your projects team to consume it in those model numbers only, so that you get a benefit of whatever negotiations you would have done in advance.
Okay.
Right? Try to use that strategy and look at it and run this exercise for a year and see, right, whether you reach whatever 100% volumes you are committed, or you're exceeding that, or you are far below that commitment, right? And the subsequent year, you would then be able to clearly visualize where your commitments have gone wrong, or whether you have under committed or over committed. Basis that, try to change the volumes, right? If volumes are very low, they'll definitely ask you to reach out to a partner. But doing it in bits and pieces is gonna add up on your timelines of negotiation. And also, you will have a lot of variations on pricing, and you will always face challenges from your bosses saying that why your prices are more than whatever you have purchased last time.
True.
So you as a buyer will have to strategize the way you look at your IT bucket, get a forecast from your people, talk to your engineering team, try to standardize on some specifications, some set of model numbers, if not specification, at least some set of model numbers. Call the OEMs to your office, right? Or now office is not possible, but then try to directly talk to them on a call, and then fix up a price mechanism. Even if you fix a dollar price, that is still okay. The conversion factors, exchange rate will you can fix it with your partner. That formula you can fix it with your partner. Right, reference rate of exchange rate, which website to refer, all these things can still be fixed. Fix a dollar rate, and that dollar rate, keep it valid for a quarter, and then see how things work.
Okay.
Right, and then networking, as Montu said, networking is the best piece which you can always make use of. You have a wonderful group. Try to use all the contacts available in the group, and people are really helpful in this group.
Yeah, sure.
So Amrita, just to add one more line. So it's totally depend upon the quantity you are going to procure, and even if you are not achieving what your company managers or what your boss seeking the price from, or what target given to you, if you are not able to achieve, then you should go to your reporting manager or boss by saying that this is the reasoning, this is the market scenario. Like I will give you the fine example of the category what I am managing in my current company. Like this is about transportation. So considering current pandemic, due to this price hike is slightly high in the market right now. So it is something about 20 to 30% hike as of now. So transporters are coming to me and asking for hike. So this is a genuine reason, and we cannot match our expectation as per last year price or target given by our company managers or as per our KPI. So we should also consider the market scenario. If we will negotiate again and again, and we will squeeze the pricing with the vendor, so there might be chances that vendor will take order from you as per your expectation, as per your target price, but there might be also chances that they will not be able to deliver the things to you on time, or they will deny the same, or they will make delay also. So this is my perspective. We should negotiate with a vendor with a rational, rather than by saying that this is our target price. So will not work at all. We should negotiate. उतना ही negotiate करना चाहिए जितना वो जिस cost पे he can deliver the service or product to you. This is my perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I think. Okay.
Anybody else?
Thanks for all.
Srinath again. Trade probably to get a list price of the product and see what discount you got from the list price, and try to see if you can retain the same discount for the next buy also. That also is a suggestion.
Yeah, that is what we follow.
Okay.
So usually we place the PO with the old buy price only.
Okay.
But then they come back saying that we cannot match the price because of this
No, there is a
pandemic.
discount. No, there is a discount from the list price. There is a list price and MRP price on which they give a discount to you. So you try to see what is
Yeah,
the discount, like you say 25% or 30%. So try to see if you can achieve the same discount for the next buy as well. So then you can show your management saying that you have achieved the same discount as you have got from the previous buy. That is one approach, because your volume is not going to be huge. Like you not have a projected volume because your volumes are dynamic. So you can only see if you can achieve the same discount what you got from the previous buy. That's what my suggestion.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Biplav here. I have a question. What would be the best practice to adopt while negotiating for proprietary items? While I say proprietary items, suppose your manufacturer or gear is using X manufacturer's bought out item. So you have to replace with that item only. So you do not have any choice. Only thing you can have OEM or distributor or dealer base. That's all. But what should be the rational negotiation strategy?
Sorry, can you please come again with your question?
This is regarding the best practice of negotiation for proprietary items.
Like,
Suppose you have a gearbox of X manufacturer and they have some bought out items, suppose battery or something else. So you have to go to the dealer or distributor, or maybe if it is a sizable items as you have said, it will go to the OEM. But every time not tell you the pricing or anything, they will tell that this is our price, or maybe there is a rate card available like a discount structure. But we are not sure whether we are at par or we are doing good deal out of it. So what would be the best convincing strategy to adopt?
so again, I think we have already given this answer earlier, but again I will repeat. It is totally depend upon your specification. Let's say if your specification or which is being provided by your stakeholder or business team is saying that we need only Canon camera. Okay, so
So it is not that sort of example. Actually, I tell you, suppose you have a DG. So that DG manufacturer, Mahindra or Tata, somebody is there. So they are using Excite battery or some other make battery. So you need to replace with that only. You do not have any choice over the specification optimization. Hope I could clarify you.
yes,
I
got
think
it.
his
So
question is, so this is for single source vendor. I mean, we do not have
Yeah,
option to go
proprietary.
with.
so this
And you
is
cannot
like,
have n number of vendor base also for the same product.
I agree. So this is like some monopolistic situation.
Proprietary items, we say it in our organization.
Correct. So this is like a you know एक ऐसी situation है, monopolistic situation है. You cannot probably handle their price. So again, totally depend on your scope or on your quantity or on your requirement. It is small or it is one time or it is recurring. So if you will have deep dive of your expense or of this category, then probably OEM can also negotiate the price or can provide you the best discount. So unless until you will not have the fair idea of your expense, that how many time you are buying or how many time you need such a kind of vendor, so you need to strategize in a proper way in a advance, so that you can negotiate or you can float the RFQ before the time and seek the best discount from their side. And or you can also check or recheck the price in our open forum like a Procurious group on WhatsApp. So if the vendor or OEM is giving the same price in the market, then it is okay as per my understanding.
मोन्टू मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहता हूँ. दिस इज सुनील. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये बॉट आउट आइटम्स हैं. दीज आर नॉट द प्रोप्राइटरी आइटम्स. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग व्हेन यू जनरली ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस सप्लायर को बताते हैं कि यू आर द ओनली सोर्स ऑफ supplier, you are only source of vendor, then it becomes a proprietary item. Any DG, any cameras, any kind of IT products, all of them have a competitor in the big competitors in the market. When you tell them you are the only source, or we have only selected that DG or only selected that manufacturer, it becomes a proprietary item. Generally it is not a single source item. Like buying of a DG or buying of a DG battery, we have a multiple source in a market. It is our choice because we go as per the market research and we found that this manufacturer is better than XYZ manufacturer. So we give them a liberty, or we give them a preference of buying. So when we give them a preference of buying,
actually again I have to elaborate my query in a better way. Is that suppose one crane is there, it has used one AC drive, so you have to replace, and your maintenance department or your user department will ask you to provide you the same spec and same make of item. So that's why I've reinforced that it is a proprietary item. I have faced such challenges.
एग्रीड. इस केस में क्या होता है कि आप जब कोटेशन लेते हो तो उसी स्पेसिफिकेशन दूसरों से भी ले सकते हो फॉर द cost comparison. It is not necessary that you buy from XYZ vendors, but you can take out the quotation from XYZ vendor and you can make a benchmark of the cost, and you tell that this is the cost and I am free to replace you. The moment he will listen the word I am free to replace you, he will have some kind of a cushion in terms of the costing and he will pass on to you. But if you will not call,
actually you are buying only OEM approval distributor dealers only, not for XYZ. Because of you deal with Toshiba or deal or HP product na only for authorized dealer and distributors only. You go to for other side now, no guarantee and warranty for the product. First of all, second of all, installation commissioning problem. So no one service for experienced people is not available. Only dealer and distributor only supporting for this product for the original and cost.
Dealer or distributor is very much clear that order is going to come to him, so he will not pass on the desired discount structure or whatever you can say.
Yeah, all the OEM product available for the distribution details available in online available.
ऐसी सिचुएशन के अंदर एक मैनेजमेंट ऐसी सिचुएशन के अंदर
interrupt and give a suggestion for this issue.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. According to my perception, the question comes from the guy is, he's a manufacturing guy for a machinery. He wants to replace some spare parts, and it is available only with one guy, so he has to go with him. And his technical team doesn't want to have any change. They want to have only that specific brand.
Yeah.
In this case, what as a procurement person, what we have to do is, we have to go and check for the recommended brand, as well as we should look into an alternative in the market and what is the prices. Make a price comparison, have some valid information, go back to our technical team, tell them these are the available things. If you require only this thing, we need to spend this much, and these are the negative things we are facing with the suppliers. And try to convince your technical team, and so they'll understand any savings to the company is good for them. So you have to convince them and to make them understand, and for next order you have to develop the new supplier. That's my suggestion here.
But the rationale has to be thought of, because that maintenance guy would not go for, even though I can offer him certain alternate, but what you say that he used to have a like-to-like replacement.
No, that is because see, the same thing happens in my organization, in the company where I'm working. So this is the technique I use them. and I'll tell them, if you want to stick to that the same brand, then sometimes it may not be available, and then we'll not be have the material. We'll have this of the losses. Put something, put some weightage to your argument, and then try to convince them.
So we have a good answer in chat box from Swapnil side. Nowadays, nobody keeps only one source of supply, so suggest to change company purchasing policy. I appreciate this answer. Thank
Yeah,
you,
that's
Swapnil.
Mantu?
Yes, Sundar.
One of the
Thank you.
important question. Some item for line type products expiry for 1 year. Example for 2000 October end. Some products. So material supply on vendor. So after 2 months stock store in the material, expiry is over. So the situation, how to react for the procurement person?
Can you please retell your question?
Expiry items, some anobond, some solutions for the product items, consumables. Supplying for this for expiry, within expiry date, consume within expiry date. The item is called with a lifetime. I know that for other language also is possible. Other words, lifetime product. I think so. Expiry is over. Some item we are procured for the anobond or consumable item. After October 2020, my store manager is informed to for procurement. So when after I take the action, the material is not possible to vendor is the take the return the material. Reverse after expiry, the material is expiry over. After 1 month, find it for this inventory. How to react for the procurement peoples, the situations.
Okay. So anybody from participant side would like to answer this question?
Simple. Expiry date over. After inventory, lot of value of this material is stocked in stores. So the highlighted the issue because of after convenience to the vendor is not acceptable because of I am supplying the material within date.
So Sundar, this is purely the part of your purchasing policy. If you have purchased or procured some kind of such items from your supplier, obviously there is some kind of validity or expiry date. You should consider the same, and you should return your material. You're supposed to return your material before that date.
No, return to the material.
Part of agreement.
Part of agreement, no policy. Vendor because of material supply with expiry date included. I mentioned the expiry date because I'm facing the real-time problem. This facing the issue. Last company more than the anobond and the consumables for this material more than 4 to 5 lakhs after 2017-18 material supplying with 19. Find it for the inventory. Find it for the inventory. Vendor is not acceptable. How to for policy means vendor before supply.
I'll answer this question. How to avoid this? When you make an order, you have made an order based on some request from from your user team. And when you make an order, you should clearly mention the product at the time of receipt should have this much of shelf life.
Shelf life item. Shelf life.
Yeah. At the time of ordering, you have to mention the product should have 70% of remaining shelf life at the time of receipt at our stores or something like that. And when you receive it, the storekeeper has to check the shelf life. If it is not meeting your requirement, then immediately it has to be informed to supplier.
No. Please understanding. My query is vendor is supplying on date. On date. right? Company is
Yes.
not consumable on within 3 months or 1 year.
Okay, then you cannot blame the supplier because of our internal issue.
After expiry, because of management is not silent. Why for not the consumable for the item more than 4.5 lakhs valuable? So the self made items were very important. All the consumables. So the situation, how to react the procurement people? The procurement people's action is must
procurement
required.
cannot be blamed for this.
Okay, procurement is cannot be blamed. The store people's.
Why it was ordered? It is purely a planning thing.
Okay, after end users is not consumes on date. Some because of
guys, sorry
yes,
to interrupt you. So Sundar, I have jotted down your question. So probably I will try to have next or another session in coming week.
okay.
And
Okay.
time really flies. That's why I just intervene. So guys, I would again like to share key initiative with you again. So we are planning mock interview session for jobless members or for those who is really willing to know the improvement areas. So he or she can prepare for next job interview and get selected for job. We are planning to invite some HR expert who can share his or her expertise to know about improvement area like that. What are the gaps in your resume? How you should search job on job portals, and how to find out the job in current pandemic scenarios. And technically, we will also invite some procurement leaders as interviewers. So we will nominate one member and arrange one mock interview session for 30 minutes in a week. And we'll share the feedback privately with interviewee. We will share all the details regarding mock interview session with you as soon as possible, guys. So now I would move forward to end of this session, and I would really appreciate if you will provide us the feedback about Procurious as a group, or what is your expectation from our side. I will really appreciate.
Montu?
Yeah, Sundar.
Please next level for discuss with for interest rate purchase. Now for last 1.5 years for contribution for this GST update.
Sure, noted.
So is please.
So guys, thank you for joining us, and we are willing to have your feedback over today's session. Probably comment your feedback on LinkedIn or on WhatsApp or on YouTube platform. And thank you so much for attending today's session. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Montu,
Thank you very much.
for having this
Thank you.
webinar. Yeah.
Thank you, Montu. Thank you, everyone.